concern for the regulator, at least since 2 years now. And you have been the chairman of Bank of Baroda. You clearly know what is the ground reality at the moment. So do you see that the asset quality will improve at least in FY15, or you think that the pressure will continue for some more time in the system?
I think today you have determined to put everything to a date. You have come determined with that. No, see, whether it will be FY15 or it will be slightly spill over to FY16, these are more will be a guessing game. But yes, what is important that the asset quality had been a matter of concern, and we have discussed several times that there were several factors which has ultimately led to this situation. And we come back to again the external environment, the governance issue, the tenure of the top people in the particularly in the public sector bank, the entire the issue related to the infrastructure sectors. All those things are there. But point is that so many things now have been people have looked into it. Some of the past, let's say, the deficiencies have been clearly realized. So what we can expect that there won't be a repeat of those kind of shortcomings in the future. That would be reasonable to expect. The second thing, when we are talking about the external environment, so clearly there are now positive signs in the economy. The optimism is more, the confidence level is better. So these two things will remain interrelated. But I really can't say, I can't put a date that come March 15 and everything would be completely cured and there will be a drastic reduction in NPA level. I think believing those kind of things may not be realistic. But what I sense and see that the direction in which we are moving seems to be the right direction.
Okay, and if you were to talk about the latest scams that are coming in the forefront, especially in the PSU bank sectors, be it the syndicate bank and the recent fixed deposit scam involving again two banks, Dena Bank and OBC. So what are the steps? What steps is RBI taking on this front? Are you also conducting your own internal audit on these banks or maybe some more banks? And what steps are you planning to take to ensure that such cases don't happen going forward?
See, understand one thing. Number one, these are the cases, and I think we have mentioned it earlier also. Governor also mentioned while pronouncing the monetary policy that these are some of the cases of individual indiscretion. These are not indicating to any systemic issue or any organization-wide tendency. And when the individuals are there, human beings are there, there would always be some incidents which are more related to individual behavior. But having said that, Reserve Bank of India as a supervisor, it is a very elaborate supervision process which includes, as you know, it includes the inspection, it also includes the risk-based supervision, off-site, doing the thematic study whenever needed, doing a special scrutiny, also the forensic audit wherever needed. So, but understand one thing, what RBI does is a overall inspection. It doesn't do a transaction audit or a voucher audit or even the forensic audit for everything case. But there are agencies, there are auditors, there are internal auditors, concurrent auditors, statutory auditors, and Reserve Bank as a supervisor takes the feedback and evaluates the feedback which is received from all of them. Many of these things are done, which I think better done and not very much discussed in the public forum. But yes, RBI is always aware to, sensitive to all these developments and keeps on taking the appropriate steps as they are required.
So, but what action are you taking against these particular individuals or banks which have come under the limelight? Is RBI separately also looking at taking some action, some punitive action, anything?
See, whenever, as I mentioned, if I look to my previous answer, that whenever there are requirement, even there is a need, RBI has done the thematic studies, has done the special audit, and there had been in past, you must have seen the penalties are pronounced and levied. So after we assess the entire situation and whatever appropriate action is warranted within the framework, that will certainly be done. RBI cannot become a state function by taking a criminal action against anyone. That will be done by the people who are vested with that authority. But whatever is the mandate of RBI and provision, it will be done.
And like you mentioned about punitive action penalties, I just wanted to discuss that issue in brief. But the fine that RBI levies on banks when there is some malpractice that is found, the law doesn't allow RBI to levy a very heavy fine. It's a very minuscule fine, and it doesn't really deter banks from doing such malpractices again. So do you think that law per se needs to be changed? Maybe the fine that you can levy on banks should be much hefty so that the banks think twice before they do anything wrong?
See, everything has two sides. Every coin has two sides. Number one, like which we were discussing about the compensation package. Similarly, it is also a similar issue. What kind of penalty, what level of penalty is appropriate? It is again something very subjective. The second thing is you have to understand the magnitude of the problem. Again, whether is a individual indiscretion or the entire organization wise, is there a tendency to do that kind of thing at the organization level, or is it an organizational philosophy, which at least in the context of Indian banking, I don't think so. I am not drawing any international comparisons or any such thing, but I don't think that any enterprise wide that kind of, it is a deliberate kind of thing which does happen. So we have to be conscious of all those elements before we decide. Moreover, see, for a banking institution, what is more important is the act of penalty itself. Idea is the quantum of penalty, whether from what it is, even if it becomes 10 times, is it going to really impact the P&L of the bank, is, I think, is a mute issue. That is not the issue. But the very act of levying a penalty itself is sufficient to give the right message.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/etnow.